Hello, everybody. Welcome back. God's Merchant here, shining light, bringing hope and inspiration. Part 2 of what I was talking about in my previous video about the vibrations and the frequencies that God has given us and granted us on this earth. One thing about this is these fallen angels, as I had mentioned, they came here before mankind, before civilization, before our civilization. And God had created this earth for Him and for His heaven to be here on earth in Christ. It's not created for us. We are created to help, like I said, set things back right in the end, because God has used everything for the glory of Christ, everything. And God also showed me about the zodiacs and the zodiac signs, okay? And these fallen angels know so much about this stuff. They came in and they taught mankind all these zodiac signs, and they taught witchcraft and sorcery and mixing of herbs and mixing of metals and alloys and all this to mankind. Taught us spells, and this is all, like I said, in the Bible. But what God showed me about the zodiac, most people might not even know this, that you have 12 zodiac signs, and all 12 of them go around in a circle around our earth, and they show up as the earth revolves around the sun and rotates. And like we have Leo and Cancer and Libra and stuff like that. They're not for astrology. They're for astronomy. There's a difference. They're for signs to us from God, to know the signs and the seasons, and to know the signs of when He's coming. And that's in the Bible too. But they're also for the fallen angels. These zodiac signs, they're for them to know when their time is up. And so they know this. And so like when Jesus came and He was in the age of Aquarius. These are eons that go by, okay? And they're different eras. Jesus came in the era of Aquarius. He came in the era of Pisces. Now we are in the era of Aquarius, okay? And that's a brand new era that we're in. And these fallen angels know that this era that we're in is the last era that before their judgment, okay? And I love astronomy. Astronomy is awesome. And the Bible talks about the stars and stars from heaven, and these angels, these fallen angels, are stars, okay? And the morning stars, stuff like that. Jesus is the original morning star, but they're talking about these fallen angels fell from heaven like lightning, and they probably actually did, because these are beings of light. And what we have to understand is our zodiac and all these signs in heaven, whenever Jesus comes back and he reigns for 1,000 years, God says in the book of Enoch talked about this. This is what crazy, he told me this. He's going to lock those into place. He's going to lock the earth into place, and He's going to lock the heavens into place. That way we have eternity. So there won't be any of this sun burning out in 4 million years and the earth being destroyed and all that. He's going to come to earth, and He's going to lock everything into place once judgment is done. And these fallen angels have been destroyed and sent. He's not going to get rid of them. He's going to put them in another galaxy with a sun. They're going to be put in a eternal fire, like lava. It's going to flow like rivers of fire, is what it says. That's a sun, okay? And He's got a place already designed for them to where they are going to go, and they're going to have to live there on that place forever and ever and ever and ever, okay? And that's what it says in the book of Enoch, and it says in the Bible that they will be there forever, ever, and ever. And that we on this earth, those who are worthy and righteous, and those who are saved by grace of God and accept Christ in their life, that we will reign on this earth with Him, and we will be here. And in that 1,000-year time, we will get these vibrations, and we will learn these frequencies that they know. He showed me when He comes back down here, it's not going to snap His fingers. I've heard preachers preaching. They say, "Oh, He's going to snap His fingers, and when He comes back, those are with Him. We're going to have it all right, and we're just going to miraculously be, reigning with Christ." It's not the way. Gosh, that's not the way it's going to work. That's not the way it's going to work. Those that believe in Christ and those that are worthy will reign on earth with him, but we will have to work at it. We're going to have to work. We're not going to come by this with a snap of the fingers. We're going to come by this over time and learning to love one another and learning to take care of this creation. God's going to give us the ability where our minds are going to miraculously be changed, and He's going to remove that veil, okay? That veil that Adam got in the beginning, He's going to remove that veil for us so that we see things and have wisdom. And it says that He told me He was going to give us more wisdom than we could ever desire. See, we were always supposed to have from the tree of wisdom, but not that time. That tree of wisdom, knowledge of good and evil, we were supposed to eat of that. We were, but only when we were mature enough, okay? Adam ate of that tree as a baby child, when he hadn't been here long enough to learn anything. He hadn't walked with God enough. He hadn't talked with God enough, okay? And when he did this, he disobeyed God. That's why God told him, don't eat of that tree. All these trees in the garden you can eat from, all of them. Enjoy the fruit. And what was crazy is when he showed me this tree and these vibrations he showed me first, the tree looked like neurons. If anybody want to describe it, it looked like brain neuron connections, okay? These neuron connections were the branches, okay? And they had the leaves. They had leaves all over them. And then they spread out, and they were real thin. And then you had some parts that I said before that was really thick. And as he carried me through this tree, and I'm looking at it and showing it, I'm looking over here to the other side, and I'm knowing automatically when he's showing me these things and explaining, I'm knowing things that I'm thinking about. And I'm going, oh, what is this? And then I know. I'm like, oh, that's before our time. It was like a separate section. That was before our time. That was the fallen angels. I mean, the Nephilim and all that. Then showed it, and then it shows that this other connection was all green, starting to grow, and that was after the Nephilim. And then you got all these leaves coming off, these different colors and beautiful, beautiful colors, and a lot of green leaves, and then a lot of dead leaves. And the dead leaves still had auras around them. And I asked what they were and knew. He showed me, told me, I already explained that. And then as I went up the tree, started looking, and then when I saw the angel, that was the really neat thing too, is I seen through the other side of the tree. And as I seen through it, I saw a sun, bright gold sun. And I saw the sun, and it was the only thing that was brown. It was round and bright like a sun. And as soon as I tried to peer to it and look, just as soon as I tried to peer through it, look, I thought, is that a sun? And I was there at it, and it was an angel. It was a golden angel with no wings, had a sword, and was bowed down to God, kneeling. And I knew why it was kneeling. It was kneeling because God was in his presence, and it was in the garden. And then I knew another one was behind me. As I started looking around me, I kind of saw it off the side, and because as soon as I saw it, I was back. Right here. That's the way the fifth dimension worked. I could see through the other side of the earth. I could see through the top where his throne was, and I could see that angel instantly, boom. And I was kind of still in this place, but I could see there. And then I could see behind me. I could see all around. And then there was another angel over here, and I only saw two. There was one here and one there, and they were gold suns. And both of them were kneeling down with a sword. And I knew why they were there. I knew why they were placed there. I knew what they looked like. I didn't see their face. I didn't look that close, but I just knew what it was, and it was back. And then I looked up, and then God was bringing me up through it. And I knew when I said I saw the dark spot. And the dark spot I looked at, I was like, I knew what it was instantly. It was the church. And the limbs were bigger, and the limbs were representing our leadership of earth, okay? All these limbs that were connected, they're representing leaders, okay? And some of them were dark and black, and I knew they were dead. It's like you look at a tree and you know a dead tree when you see it. And then you have other trees that are green and vibrant, but they're still, kind of the same color, but in the fifth dimension, you understand this stuff and you see it and you know what they are. And so I noticed that when I was looking up there, that these dark branches were thick, and then the leaves had a lot of green leaves off of it and a lot of dead leaves, okay? And I said, oh, what is that? And I knew exactly it was church. That's our leadership from the church. A lot of these leaders had led people wrong and had missed that connection, that vibration with God. They missed it. You know what I mean? Didn't have no connection. But they led a lot of people under them who did have good connections, okay? So the church has a purpose, and religion, there's a lot of problems with God. That's why we have a lot of wars and have wars over the centuries, because these leaders, they want to have this perfect connection to the God they think is God, and they see things the way they want, and they go by their laws. But, even though God gave us laws, they add to it and take away, and then they just lose the connection to people. They mistreat, they misguide, we have them till this day. You know what I mean? And then you have a lot of them. I saw a lot of branches that were beautiful with beautiful leaves off of it. Okay, but as far as the history of the church, I saw the history of it, because when God was showing me this tree, it was layered in histories. Okay, and that's how we're all connected. We're connected through history too, and He told me that He showed me the connections and showed me how we're all connected with history, and it explained about demons. It explained, because I was in there and I was looking for the fallen angels, because I saw them other two. And as soon as I saw them, I was like, "Where are the fallen ones?" And instantly I knew they're outside. They're not allowed in here. Oh, they're not allowed in here. I was like, "Oh, we're in the fourth dimension or fifth dimension. Oh, we're in the fifth." I knew that. Okay, God said we're in the fifth dimension. They're not allowed here. That's when I got the clear view, which I kind of already knew, but that they weren't allowed in this area. Those angels were protecting it from them and us. Okay, and the main thing I got was how they protect it from us. Okay, not only do they protect it from the fallen angels, they protect it from us, because we have a lot of power in our minds, and we have a lot of people that meditate and they go into sorcery and they go into witchcraft, and you got a lot of people that go into meditation with God. Okay, these angels help get us to the connection with God and help protect us as we meditate for God. That's why we got to use prayer, and we got to use the name of Christ. But a lot of people don't, and they try to, to reach spiritual things with the earth and stuff like that. Well, they better be careful. I'm telling you right now, you better be careful if you're doing that, because you will meet one of these fallen angels. They're waiting for you. They're waiting for you all around. That's what they want you to do. So if you get in the Word with Christ and get the Word of God, and you get it in prayer with Christ in your heart, and you've got your vibration and your sequences right, God loves for you to meditate and talk to Him, and honestly, I don't do it enough. I do it, and I've done it more lately than I have in my whole life, but it's hard for us to do. We get busy with our lives and everything. But if you do take a few minutes of the day and try to do that, that's what I was talking in my first videos about, talking to God. The first step is talking to Him, and it's not easy for all of us to do. That's why I love talking to y'all guys on here, because it helps me to know that I've got to keep doing this, and I listen to other people, what they say, and I care what they say. But when it comes to my relationship with God, I go by His Word. I go by what I read and what God showed me, because everything He showed me in these visions and what I've done, He has Word to back it up. And I've actually gone and looked it up, and it's there. It's there and it's clear. And I ask for y'all to do the same thing, because I've waited, man, all my life to find out what my calling was. All of us have a calling, but a lot of us don't get it, and I didn't either. Never got my calling. I wasn't called to be a preacher. I wasn't called to do all that. We're all called to have a connection and a relationship with each other and God, and put that vibration together. We're all called for that, because that's our job. And that's what He wants. But I'm not called to be a preacher and a pastor. I've had when I was younger and everything. Oh, you could be a good pastor one day. I've actually people down now. You're going to be a great pastor and everything. That's not my calling. My calling is to be God's merchant, and that's it. After all these years, I finally got my calling. And God's merchant doesn't mean me buying and selling and stuff for God. That has nothing to do with it. Y'all go to my God's Merchant website. It talks about the digital currency that I'm working on and want to create. It's a decentralized currency, and this decentralized currency, nobody can infiltrate it. Once it's done, you have to shut down the internet on the whole world to stop it. And once it's being used, and once people are using it, it'll be people that give to God. This is a gift. That's why I have to do this. That's why I want to do this, because when it is, it's going to be a gift, and it's going to be a currency that's used that can't be stopped, and the devil can't use it. He can't even infiltrate it. They can ban it. The countries can ban it, but look what happened, with Bitcoin. The more they banned it, the more they quit trying to use it, the more powerful it got. That's the great thing about this. And that's why I am so dead set on working on this and getting this done. And once this is done, this decentralized currency comes in, and yes, I'm going to have to do it myself. I already figured that out. I thought hopefully it might be out and all that because I don't know. I'm going this one day at a time. I'm just listening to God. But once this is done and it is created, nothing will be able to stop it. And it will be able to be used properly for mankind. And you'll be able to use it amongst yourselves. You'll be able to have communities that operate on it where you can only purchase with that and they can operate it with transparency by using it. And the people that give to God and want to give to God can do it with full transparency. And the people that need and have needs in their life, they can go to these places and they will be able to use it. Like, I plan on having a physical coin. Actually, let me show you right here. I lost this paper for 5 years and it miraculously showed up because I couldn't remember it. Check this out. That's the coin. That's what God gave me the vision. And he gave me this vision on January the 1st, 2018. And I lost it. Wind blew it out of my Bible and I never could find it. I talking to somebody, went over there and it was gone. I was like, oh, well, I'll remember it whenever time comes. And that started coming to me when I was wanting to do this podcast before I went to the hospital, and I didn't know what to call the podcast. I didn't know what to do. I just was like, okay, God, I had people telling me I need a podcast, and I'm good at talking and was good at conversating. And I said, okay, maybe that, because he showed me I'd be talking to millions of people. And I didn't know how. I was like, okay, I'm not a movie star. Well, nowadays everybody can have a podcast, so that's why I'm here. Anyway, he lets me know this. I go to my girlfriend and I said, hey, I'm looking for this paper. I'd already been in this nightstand of mine over the years many times, done cleaned it out, got everything cleaned out first so she put her stuff in there. She tells me it's in there. Well, no, it's not in there. No, it's not in there. Yeah, it is. That's in there. I saw it the other day. What? You got to be kidding me. I go in there and open it up and there's a drawer and it's right there. God did bring it. He did bring it back. I don't know how, I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to question it. I can tell you honestly, over the years, I'd been in that drawer many times. I kept needles and threads and stuff in there. And not only that, I'd just been in there recently and cleaned it out over like the year before that, got everything out of it and threw a bunch of crap away. Anyway, that miraculously is right there where you can see it. Open it. Not only did I have that there, but I had a bunch of stuff I wrote down that God had showed me, and I wrote it all down. I couldn't remember it. Well, I was amazed when I got. Anyway, that's great. And so I knew that I had to do this, and I knew God showed it. He brought it back when I needed it at His time, not mine. Just like God told me when I was talking to Him in this dream. He said, "Everything I showed you is there. I'll bring it out in my time, not yours. That's the way I work. It'll be in my time." And He gave me all the things. A lot of things happened in my life. It was to give me patience, because the first time He came to me, He had more to say, and I was impatient and woke up. But over the years, I've gotten lots and lots of patience. I've become a very patient person. And He needed me to be patient. And so now I have a lot of patience. And I'm just thankful that He came to me when He did, because that was one of the things I said, you'll have to come to me and talk to me before I do anything like this. And He actually did. And when He came to me, I was, the day I started trying to do this podcast is when this happened. So when I ended up in the hospital, 28 days that I'd eaten, ended up hospital for nearly a month. I miraculously got healed quick. Thankfully, it didn't take but a few weeks, and it's what He showed me on the digital currency and what that needs to be done. Like I said, I only need one. Throughout history, He's always only needed one. When it comes to fighting the enemy, He gives the devil the whole world. He gives him the whole mankind to control. It's up to us whether we choose Him or not. And when it comes to doing something miraculous with God, He only needs one. And I love that. And that's what God's Merchant's about. God's Merchant's about me answering the call. And I plan on doing the best I can at it. Like I said, I got to teach. He wants me to talk to people about these visions. And I haven't made a video for a couple of months because I only do this as He sees fit when He calls. And it's been on my mind for the last few days to do this. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. There will be another part to this again, and I plan on having it for you soon.